And so there's an example of a company that is so relevant, most amazing business. Jensen Huang, the business was doing so well, we had done very well in it. We got concerned about issues around chip supplies to China, restrictions. We weren't sure. We thought, well, it's very highly valued stock, maybe going to get hit. So we ended up selling, and could not have been a worse time to sell. And our second mistake was not buying back in. So as long as you learn, we all make mistakes in the investing world.
Can you tell us a story where things haven't turned out as you thought, and how did you think through that?
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes, and
Absolutely.
how should investors think through potentially cutting losses maybe, or how they should approach
I
that?
can talk you through two different types of mistakes. So during COVID, everyone was getting caught up in everything at home, and we're never going back to socializing. And we really liked the idea of Peloton, which was a fitness regime. This is a good example of where a fantastic product doesn't necessarily mean a fantastic investment. And the share price was pretty high. It was sitting, I think we had bought them in about the 50s. The stock had run up nicely. But then as things started opening up, you could see that the demand for the products had dropped off. People were, suddenly moving back to the gym. And our mistake there was probably not being quick enough to get out of it, thinking that still this could be relevant.
Yeah.
It was a very tough lesson to learn. It wasn't a massive position for us, but any loss hurts.
Yeah.
And to see a position fall, we didn't get out soon enough, but it did set us up post that to understand better when you've got to get out of a position, and you've got to learn. Everyone makes mistakes, but you've got to learn from it. And you've got to learn how to apply that to future investments. The other mistake we made was selling NVIDIA. And so there's an example of a company that is so relevant, most amazing business. Jensen Huang, I've followed him for years, and the business was doing so well. We had done very well in it. We got concerned about, I don't know
the valuation.
Not even valuation. In 2022, there was, you already then had issues around chip supplies to China, restrictions. We weren't sure. We thought, well, it's very highly valued stock. Maybe it's going to get hit. So we ended up selling, and it could not have been a worse time to sell. And our second mistake was not buying back in. So, and those are lessons we've learned. It's lessons we've never repeated. And we've actually we've used those lessons for things like Amazon, where Amazon had a significant fall in 2023. We used those lessons to really buy a lot of Amazon when it fell to $80, $90. The stock now sits at $230 odd. So for us, as long as you learn, we all make mistakes. In investing world, you only have to get 60% of your investments right. You don't have to get everyone right. But the important part is letting the good ones run, not jumping out too early. And part of what I mentioned is we're very long-term investors. We're not a high turnover fund.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably an important aspect that many people don't realize is that investing in a high turnover fund means you actually have quite a tax liability outside of the fund. And what we try to do for our investors as well is, you can, if you invest and you get a 15% return in a year, but the portfolio has been turned over multiple times, you'll end up paying 30-40% outside of the fund. It's not because the fund doesn't pay it on your behalf. Yeah. We try and minimize that tax. So for the last few years, we've really made an effort not to have much tax on our returns, and that's really by maintaining this long-term view of holding positions long-term. Doesn't mean we don't sell, because if things get overvalued, like I said, we're driven by that IRR, that internal rate of return. We will always sell. We're not going to worry about that, but we also don't want to jump out of stocks too soon if we feel they're at the early stage of their journey.